Welcome to this lesson on three-dimensional objects and nets. Understanding 3D shapes is a common topic on the LANTITE. You will need to name common solids, count their faces, edges and vertices, match nets to 3D shapes, and visualize how objects look from different angles. Let's get started. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify and name common three-dimensional objects, including prisms, pyramids, cylinders, cones, and spheres. You will know how to count their faces, edges, and vertices. You will be able to look at a flat net and determine which 3D shape it folds into. And you will be able to visualize what a 3D object looks like from different angles and when sliced through. Three-dimensional objects have length, width, and height. They occupy space in the real world. The main categories you need to know are prisms, pyramids, and curved solids. A prism has two identical parallel faces called bases, connected by rectangular faces. A rectangular prism is a box shape, and a triangular prism looks like a tent or a Toblerone box. A pyramid has one base and triangular faces that all meet at a single point called the apex. Then there are curved solids like cylinders, cones, and spheres. Make sure you can name them confidently for the LANTITE. Every three-dimensional object has faces, edges, and vertices. Faces are the flat surfaces. Edges are the lines where two faces meet. Vertices are the points where edges come together. The word vertices is the plural of vertex. A very useful formula is Euler's formula, faces plus vertices minus edges always equals 2 for any polyhedron. So if you count the faces and vertices, you can use this formula to check whether you have counted the edges correctly. Let's look at the most common shapes and their properties. Let's work through an example. The teacher shows students a hexagonal prism, which is the shape of a typical pencil. A hexagonal prism has two hexagonal bases plus 6 rectangular side faces, giving 8 faces in total. Each hexagonal base has 6 edges, and there are 6 vertical edges connecting the two bases, giving 18 edges altogether. Each base has 6 vertices, so there are 12 vertices in total. We can check our answer using Euler's formula. 8 plus 12 minus 18 equals 2. It checks out. A net is a flat two-dimensional pattern that can be folded up to form a three-dimensional object. Imagine cutting along the edges of a cardboard box and unfolding it completely flat. That flat shape is the net. An important thing to know is that a single 3D shape can have multiple different nets. For example, a cube has 11 different nets. When the LANTITE asks you to identify a net, mentally check whether the faces would overlap when folded, whether there are the right number of faces, and whether they connect in the right places. Let's practice matching a net to its 3D shape. A student is given a flat net with 2 triangles and 3 rectangles all connected in a row. First, count the faces. 2 triangles plus 3 rectangles equals 5 faces. A shape with 5 faces where the bases are triangles is a triangular prism. When we fold it up, the 3 rectangles wrap around to form the sides, and the 2 triangles cap each end. We can verify with Euler's formula. 5 faces plus 6 vertices minus 9 edges equals 2. It checks out. The net makes a triangular prism. On the LANTITE, you may be asked to identify or draw different views of a 3D object. The front view, also called the elevation, is what you see looking straight at the front. The side view is what you see from the side. The top view, also called the plan view, is what you see looking straight down from above. For example, a cylinder looks like a rectangle from the front and side, but like a circle from above. A cone looks like a triangle from the front, but a circle from above. Practicing these views helps you develop your spatial reasoning. Cross-sections are another common LANTITE topic. A cross-section is the shape you see when you slice through a 3D object. Think of cutting a block of cheese. If you cut horizontally, parallel to the base, you get a rectangle the same shape as the base. If you cut vertically, parallel to a side face, you also get a rectangle. But if you cut at an angle, the cross-section could be a parallelogram, a triangle, or even a pentagon or hexagon, depending on the exact angle. The key idea is to imagine sliding a flat sheet of paper through the object. Where the paper meets the solid, that is your cross-section. Here's a LANTITE-style problem. A Year 4 teacher asks students to build 3D objects from straws and modeling clay. A student uses 12 straws for the edges and 8 balls of clay for the vertices. What shape have they made? We know there are 12 edges and 8 vertices. Using Euler's formula, faces plus vertices minus edges equals 2. So faces plus 8 minus 12 equals 2, which means there are 6 faces. A three-dimensional shape with 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices is a rectangular prism, also called a cuboid. If all the straws are the same length, it would specifically be a cube. Let's go through some common mistakes. First, students often forget to count the base of a pyramid. A square pyramid has 5 faces, not 4. Don't forget the square on the bottom. Second, a cylinder has 3 faces, not 2. There are 2 circular bases plus 1 curved surface, which when unrolled becomes a rectangle. Third, not every arrangement of 6 connected squares makes a valid cube net. Only 11 out of 35 possible arrangements actually fold into a cube. And fourth, do not confuse prisms with pyramids. A prism has 2 identical parallel bases connected by rectangles. A pyramid has just one base with triangular faces meeting at a point. Now it is your turn. Pause the video and try these 6 problems. Problem 1. How many faces does a triangular prism have? Problem 2. How many edges does a square pyramid have? Problem 3. How many vertices does a pentagonal prism have? Problem 4. What 3D shape has a circular base and one curved surface that meets at a point? Problem 5. What shape is the cross-section when you cut a sphere with a flat plane? Problem 6. A net has 1 square and 4 identical triangles. What 3D shape does it make? Check your answers on screen. Let's recap the key ideas from this lesson. 3-dimensional objects have length, width, and height. The main types are prisms, pyramids, cylinders, cones, and spheres. Faces are flat surfaces, edges are where faces meet, and vertices are where edges meet. Use Euler's formula faces plus vertices minus edges equals 2 to check your counting. Nets are flat patterns that fold into 3D shapes. Different views show you what a 3D object looks like from the front, side, and top. Cross-sections show the shape formed when you slice through a solid. For the LANTITE, memorize the properties of common shapes and always use Euler's formula to verify your answers.